Hello, my name's Gavin. This is Genre Books, and this is the third week of Garb August and a reading roundup. I've still got some gaps on the Garb Bingo card. I have tried as much as I can to complete these with reading books. I have left the movies until the last week just to see how much I could get read rather than watched. I am going to fail on some of these and resort to a film. But I'm thinking if I'm lucky, I might keep that down to just 2 boxes out of the original 25. So I think as a booktube event, hopefully I've done okay. But I did still get to read something this week, so let's go through the list. So first up this week was The Black Leather Barbarians by Pat Stadley. So this was originally 1960. This edition, New English Library edition, however, is from 1972. This obviously ticked off the gangs box from the Garb Bingo card. There is sex and violence in here, so it fulfilled the weekly prompt. But this came across, although it is, exploitation literature, it came across with a little bit more depth than, well, at least the cover leads you to believe. There is an attempt by the author to get into the head of at least one of these gang members, and that is juxtaposed. It's written in first person perspective, not entirely alternating chapters, but switching between the two, of a gang member and of a policeman who is having to deal with this gang. He's in his, I think, mid-30s, and it's already seen as old and past it by his colleagues, which, that's scary. But I suppose mid-30s compared to the teenage gang members, as they are, there's still a proper generational gap there. And in this case, that gap is from people who have served in the army and fought in wars and who are growing up in a brief moment in post-war American history where they're not going to war. So this is after Korea, this is before Vietnam, and you have disaffected youth looking to lash out in any direction. The behaviour of the gang members is abhorrent and presented as such. The intransigence that both the policeman and his younger partner both experience when trying to do something about it is frustrating. It's not that anyone doesn't want to do something, but this gang is, for the most part, keeping on the right side of the law, and when they are breaking it, they have enough menace and enough pull in the town to make people keep their mouth shut. So the authorities' hands are tied until they're not. The gang take exception to the younger policeman, and they are out to get him. I don't think this has the answers, but it's definitely more of an attempt to try to find a way forward than than this cover suggests is going to be in the book. I'd recommend it. I think it's really good. For the next book, I'd also recommend it, but I don't think it's very good. This is a book I mentioned in my video from yesterday, on the Mushroom Press and the post-war British paperback brief boom. And this is From Realms Beyond by Leo Brett. This is Badger Books. This is pure pulp literature. This was likely written and edited within a fortnight, and in many ways that shows. Leo Brett is Lionel Fanthorpe, who wrote 180 books for Badger Books and wrote 89 of those books within a 3-year period. He would write supernatural, horror, science fiction for them. This is on the supernatural side. The writing is not great. I mean, it's not Dan Brown bad, but it does follow its own digressions. And some of the dialogue is completely, seemingly out of place. There is a character here, a rich heiress who gets kidnapped, and the parents of the kidnapped woman are enlisting help. They're very rich, so they have lots of power and lots of sway. But their dialogue shows an astonishing lack of concern at some points that their daughter has been kidnapped. And there is that feature in a dialogue of people in imminent peril who start pontificating on basically whatever Lionel Fanthorpe has thought about at that moment. It's not great literature, but it's endearing, and the plot just powers on. And as I said in the video yesterday, this is another example of one of his books where, because Badger Books insisted that any of these books are 158 pages long, and because by the time Fanthorpe received a number of the typed pages back and had them together and realised that he was at 155 pages, he better finish the story really quickly. It is a hallmark of his books that the stories don't necessarily tie everything together and finish rather abruptly. This is no exception. If Garp August was made for any kind of book, I think it might be the Badger paperbacks. Next up is, it's Garp August adjacent. It's not garbage in and of itself because it is, a high quality, well thought out product. But this is The Mushroom Jungle, post-war paperback publishing, and talks about books, many of which would fit in quite happily with many of the Garp August categories. Anyway, as I said, I did a video on this yesterday, so I won't talk about it now. I will say it's well written, well researched, and I'll find the colour pictures for maximum effect. There are plenty of pictures in here. Proper Garp August type covers. So that was a very good book, but it didn't tick a damn box off the Gar Bingo card. This one probably did. Honey West Bombshell by G.G. Fickling. So G.G. Fickling is it's not quite a pseudonym, but it is an amalgamation of the names of the husband and wife team who wrote this book. So long-running series, cults, and probably something I wouldn't read on the bus either. It's Honey again. America's hottest private eyeful. She's TV's thrill-a-minute girl who can't say no. I was surprised by both the sex and the violence in this book, as I had mistakenly thought that the TV series and the books were coming out at the same time. The books predate the series, and there is stuff in this book that would not make TV in the 1960s. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the character of Honey West. She obviously has what I believe they would have called in the 40s or the 50s moxie. However, she finds herself in peril once too many times. Quite often when she's in peril, she's in some state of undress also, in a way that the male characters aren't. And although she is able to handle herself and she can fire a gun and, she does kill a couple of people in this book, but she does seem to rely a little bit too much on her male companions to get her out of trouble. She is not fully emancipated as a character. If this was just one male author and their representation of what they think a female private eye would be, I could sort of understand it. I find it a bit more difficult to understand given that one of the authors is a woman herself. That being said, it's well written, it's pacey, it's full of action, the plot is absolutely ludicrous. I won't give too much away, but there is a secret Nazi base hidden under Florida. There's your premise. There's a definite James Bond feel to it, or I think probably more specifically the Avengers. Not the Marvel Avengers, the proper Avengers. I don't think I've seen any other Honey West books about in the UK other than this one, possibly because I've not been looking for them. If I see another, I'll pick it up. It's fun. I think Garb-August gives you the license to read this. It's not something I would normally say, oh yeah, yes, I want to complete the collection. I want to do my deep dive into the Honey West series. But for picking something up, going through it in a day and a half, and just enjoying it, I don't think you could go far wrong with one of these. And although I have started some other books this week, I've not yet finished them, so I won't talk about them until next week. But something I did read last night ticks two of the boxes off here, and it ticks off Kill the Kids and Trash in Translation. I read the first volume of the Battle Royale manga. I've got this online, so no physical copy to show you, so a magic one in there. And I only read volume 1. There are 15 volumes. I probably will continue with the series. It is gory as you like. It is probably more in your face than I thought it was going to be. But the premise of Battle Royale is that some dystopian future Japanese government has sealed off an island and uses it for competition, televised competition, something called the program, where they take children, put them on the island, and they kill each other. The last man or woman, boy or girl, standing is the winner. I don't know what they win, other than a lifetime of therapy. There are 42 kids, and I was worried that I'm going to have to get to know all of these characters. By the end of volume 1, we already have some casualties, so I don't have to remember as many. But there are something like 3,000 pages of this, so I'm not going to read it all for Garb-August, but I will, I think, persevere with the series. I don't read much, if any, manga. Both my kids do. I should probably make an effort. So that was week 3 of Garb August. 4 boxes left. And they're going to be the most difficult boxes to complete. But we'll get there. Expect some movie content in next week's roundup. But until then,